Okay.
Coach, how do you like this transfer portal? What are your thoughts on how it works, whether it's going to be the detriment of college football, or is it a players' rights issue? Where do you stand just on the bigger picture? You've been around the game a lot.
Yeah, I don't get consumed with it. I mean, it's no different than in the basketball world where there's the one and dones, you know. So I think as coaches, you always have to adapt. I experienced it a few years back at the previous school where I had 3 really good quarterbacks got in competition, 2 transferred out even before portal because everybody wants to play. Sometimes I think a part of this is with all this early recruitment. Kids really commit before they get comfortable with the situation. I really appreciate like what Joe Burrow did and sit here and fought and tried to be the guy along the way he developed. And when he did transfer out as he had graduated, he did have a chance to be a successful player because you got to develop. So I think, everybody wants, it's kind of a right now society. It is the way it is. I'm all for player rights. Years ago, and I think the scholarship still says this, you sign with the school, not with the coach. You're kind of bound to the school, but the way it's gotten, you always want to do what's best for the kids. So, that's not going to change. We're going to continue, I think, from the top, from the NCAA, through the leadership of institutions, through head coaches. You always got to do what you think's best for the kid. Sometimes as a parent, I think you just wish, hey, why don't you just sit there and compete and just give it a chance to develop a little bit, and it'll be interesting because I think it's like a lot of guys want to go out to the draft early, but how many guys are getting drafted? You watch these portal guys, how many guys are having success? And I think it goes back to recruiting. I wish there'd be a way we could slow the recruiting down and get a chance for kids to really get to know locker rooms, really get to know coaches. When they make a decision, they feel good. At least go write it out a couple, 3 years. It is what it is.
Isn't it a societal issue, though? Like you touched on there, there's not much you can do when it's a culture issue of instant gratification.
Correct, and it's difficult. This is a very, I go through a period where 6 years as a head coach, you really don't get to watch a lot of practices. You don't go out in spring recruiting. By the time your season ends, it's December. So typically the only ones you can see practice are maybe a few playoff teams, and typically now, so I don't know how many practices I would see. I come over here, and now in spring recruiting, I see a lot of practices, more than I did for 6 years. So now it's an 8-10 year period of what I thought practices looked like in high school, what I see now. High school coaches have a difficult job, keeping those kids engaged and making it fun, and because kids have a lot of choices, and you just see numbers of our sport going down. So you go watch practices. Sometimes you'll see a good practice in some places, but sometimes you'll see some athletic environments in high school where kids aren't being pushed. And of course, when they come here or in most Division I schools, you're going to be pushed in the weight room academically. And as parents, I know I'm a parent of several athletes, and I've never had a comment to a coach. Never told them what to play. I've never got mad. I never asked my kid, "What did your coach tell you?" Did you play hard and have fun? And I just kind of wish kids would just buy into, you pick the spot, let's go bust your tail. And sometimes you make wrong decisions. But I really wish some kids had some patience, because working hard and patience is a virtue. Those are values of greatness.
Hey, Kevin, as an outsider, it appears that Ryan Day is a coach who appreciates and maybe even encourages creativity with his coaching staff. Is that an accurate read of the situation, and how much do you personally appreciate that if it's the case?
Yeah, and I would tell you, like for example, one of Coach Meyer's biggest critiques a lot of times when he talks is how creative are you. So I think all great leaders want to hire people around them that are really strong and just bring ideas to the table. And a lot of times I would say, like even in our staff room, a lot of times when we're sitting there going through things, sometimes, hey, I'm just thinking out loud, and a lot of times maybe this is a stupid thought, but you keep throwing a lot of things on the board, things will stick. So that doesn't mean, to me, it's great to be creative. I just don't think you can get outside of what your culture is. And Coach Meyer had created an unbelievable culture that I know Coach Day is trying in his way to maintain a lot of that, but through his style, his way. So creativity that doesn't conflict the credibility of what the school's about, what the athletic department's about, and what our program's about. But whether in creativity, whether it be in recruiting, whether it be in graphics, whether it be in different ways of making phone calls, contact. not let alone just the design of a football play. Although I did see a good play. I tweeted out today, you see the Mississippi State guys had a little baseball play. They ran like a little, you see that? And they threw it. And I went, hey, that's pretty good there. And that was, if it was Mississippi State, that's Coach Lamonis. I used to work with him, so I got to call him up and see how he designed that play there. I thought it was pretty cool.
You don't have that on the whiteboard already, Kevin?
Yeah.
As someone,
We've had it.
as someone who's been in charge of young men, as a head coach, as an assistant coach and coordinator, as a father, how much do you see what Ryan is doing in terms of his efforts to improve mental health with this new charity that he's added, and just the way he's prioritized that with the players and had team psychiatrists and all that? How much does that mean to you?
Well, it means a lot. I mean, I can't tell you how many times the prayers I say are sitting around my 5 children. And first of all, as a father wanting to challenge my daughter or son to make sure they're doing well, but also like, hey, I still love you now. I mean, like there's it's unconditional here. This is all in. I'm trying to help you find the best you and learn from failure. I think these kids are we have so much information, and they can Google up and see so many great things. And when you ask people to do I think one of the misnomers of this generation is we want so much for these kids to do their best, and they interpret that as perfect. And there's only one perfect thing on this world. And that being said, failing's good, and it's getting your children and these kids understand that failing's good, and in doing so, what does it do to the mental stresses that you're under? Because everything's so public, and your buddies are tweeting us and cracking a joke and laughing at you. And I appreciate what Ryan is trying to do with the hospital and the foundation, but I know he's very much in tune with our staff meeting of making sure we just touch our kids and do things. He'll challenge me as an offensive coach to make sure I'm talking once in a while to some defensive guys. And if I see a defensive player, just to say something, hey, I saw you did well on a test. By the way, that was a great job in the weight room or the team run yesterday, just to let those kids know you care about them, you love them, you recognize what they're doing. The ability to connect and show people you care is the one thing that's going to help us build this program with the challenges that you've had today.
Everybody's asked a lot about how the offense might change from last year to this year, and it's kind of complicated. But I'm a little curious, from your perspective, how has it evolved? The offense that Urban brought here in 2012, how has it kind of evolved? You've seen it from multiple sides. How has it evolved from 2012 to now?
Again, I wasn't a part of it, although I saw it, watched it,
Right.
tried to figure out what I thought they were doing, what I thought they were trying to do sometimes to incorporate in things that we were trying to do. But I will say, to me, anything that's to me every year offense always evolves, because what can you block, what can your quarterback handle, and that changes. You're going to graduate guys, you're going to have injuries, and the quarterback position can do things. Now, if you have those unique skill players at receiver, running back, they make plays look better, make you look better. Maybe you are, but what can you block and what can the quarterback handle? So you're always evolving, to me, to emphasize and put those guys in good positions. What has not changed that Coach brought and most great offenses has is the value of being physical, the value of protecting the football, the value of protecting the quarterback, the value of scoring touchdowns, and the value of the offense being a part of the plan to win. It's not about doing so many things statistically to look good offensively, yet you're always putting your defense in bad position and all that stuff. So even though we change or accentuate each year, and we'll change this year, not because of Ryan as much as maybe this quarterback versus last quarterback. Versus now you've seen in 2 full years of my time the difference between JT and Dwayne, and it wasn't it was creativity, but it was really what can guys do, and really what can the offensive line do. So as you go forward, that's it. Now we're always going to have some gun presence. You'd like to always have a little bit of quarterback run, more or less. You've got to throw the ball elite to be a championship team, and you got to be a physical, dominating team. And the Big Ten is still blocking, it's still tackling, and it's still November. And that's what wins the championship of the Big Ten, and that gives you a chance to be a playoff team. So that never changes, I don't think. And I think what Coach has established, what Ryan will keep doing, what he's about, I think what I'm about, and Coach Stud, Coach Alford, and Coach Hartline, I think that Coach Ursus, I think that stays the same.
Hey, Kevin, you guys, do you have a follow-up?
I was going to say that, but there are some added passing concepts, right, that maybe came in about the same time that you and Ryan got here. It's kind of.
Yeah. And there's been a couple added, but I mean, because people started playing so much man, there became some crossing stuff, and we were getting a lot of man-to-man. That being said, that crossing stuff took off. Now we're going to start getting a lot of zones. So you're going to go back to concepts that maybe they're added, but really, I mean, those crossing concepts have always been there. I think they just maybe got emphasized a little bit more especially I think with Ryan's background coming out of the NFL, and then with Dwayne's ability to execute, and of course you're throwing it to some dynamic players. I think going forward you keep getting defended that way because defenses keep changing too, and the really good offenses can stay with the defense and try to stay with them or try to stay one up or try to stay anticipate what you're going to get, because what's the definition of what is it? Stupidity, whatever.
Insanity.
Insanity. Doing the same stuff. So people, there's great defensive coaches and players. So guys change, and so it's our ability. You just don't rely. You've got to know when they go to this. A good defense and a good offense knows once there's a couple defenses league. If you work them on a play, you're only getting it once because they know what to go to. They make their changes. Same thing offensively. We got to anticipate what guys go to make changes. So I think we did a great job leading. The offense kind of continues where it is, but I think you'll see some evolution, not because we're at a different place, and sometimes maybe not because it's even a different quarterback with Dwayne being gone. It's just you're getting defended differently too.
Kev,
You ever been a part of a program that basically had nothing but new quarterbacks? I mean, even here before.
Well,
Seems
but
new.
that was a year ago, you basically walk into a room where it was Dwayne and Joe and Tate and Matt. They're gone. And all for good reasons, and appreciate all those guys did. They're gone, so it's a little bit of it. And that being said, that's why in the summer you can't be there to throw them, but you're trying to, and you don't want to say, hey, a guy can't throw a certain play, don't do it. The real thing at the end of the day, we got to do a good job offensively, just not getting all over the place. How do we kind of scale it back in a way that we can make sure we're getting good stuff with a few new players?
Do you have to, because they're all new and hardly anyone has playing experience in this program, do you feel that you have to ramp up certain things, or do you try to take the same approach as if a player's
What do you
been?
mean you say ramp?
I mean, do you try to, you don't want to feel like you're rushing a guy,
It's like a year
right,
ago,
to
we
get
would
up
have
to
told you.
speed?
We would have told you a year ago at this time that Dwayne would not speak up in front of the guys, so he needs to get out there in front of the guys and start talking.
Yeah.
And just that was one of the things we're trying to rank. As a young player, hadn't played much, he would be very quiet in front of his offense. We're like, hey, you need to speak up and have better command presence. So every guy's a little bit different. And of course, in Mike's issue and Coach Day's issue, a couple of these guys just showed up. We let him work with him yet. We'll see him in the workouts here in the month of June. With that, you'll get a feel. I know Coach Mick will do a great job with those quarterbacks in particular, putting them in positions where see what their leadership skills are like, and do they show toughness and competitive spirit and all that kind of stuff. But from there, it'll be an interesting August when we really start throwing a real football.
How'd you get Dwayne's command to go up?
Well, in this day and age, kids just don't talk. They're on the phones and they're texting, and they talk with their thumbs. So it's teaching a guy like how to stay, and so we just had to force it. So like we would have meetings and he would have to call out the play like he's in front of we would all be yelling louder, speak up, and so it's just getting comfortable and getting used to doing it. And that's not a new thing that happens with a lot of guys. A lot of guys, you can hear a lot of defensive coaches. Our guys defensively don't talk well. And so you've got to do, there's a lot of things that you can develop. You can develop leadership, and you can develop communication skills. And that's as much a part of coaching as how to run a curl route or pick up a twist. It's a part of coaching.
Was Dwayne just in front of the team meeting, like the team meeting room?
Or the offensive meetings, or maybe it's just quarterbacks and receivers. It was just, just over time, the more you do it, the more confident you get at it. The reason kids, like I'll tell a recruit right now, if you can move your toes like you move your thumbs, you'll be a good recruit. And because why are they good at texting and Twitter? You sit there and do this all day. You guys are pretty good at yourselves, right? And so it's like, well, why do you get good at talking in front of people? You just try to force the issue. And in our world, it's time to develop the quarterback now. We're at a time here where we can't put a ball in his hand and really throw a football. So how do we do a good job of developing a quarterback in an off season where we got some restrictions? And I know we'll do a good job in June. July's kind of a little bit of vacation for the coaches, but it'll be interesting to get back in August. And great thing, I think Coach Day's kind of used to say there's new guys. When you coach in the NFL like you did, you're rotating guys in all the time. So here's the playbook. Let's figure it out. So I think he's kind of used to that.
You going anywhere in July?
Yeah, I always get a little family beach spot to go to.
Which area of the country?
North Florida.
Cool. Have a good time.
Do nothing.
Yeah, you have
It's my wife's favorite spot because there's nothing to do, so we do nothing. It's great family time.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
you guys have you lost a lot of receiver this year after last year, and it seems like you have a lot of really good young talent at receiver. When you look at what Chris is and Olave and Garrett Wilson and stuff. I mean, how far advanced are these guys for their age in terms of just what
Skill set really good. Now that we're talking about to be really good teams playing in November. So are they really good enough right now to understand how to start taking care of their body, so that they have the body has the wear and tear, that they're great practice players on those Tuesdays and Wednesdays, get the timing that you need for the quarterback. And so those young, talented players, because now Chris is going to play him when he played so great last year as a freshman. Derek comes in, very talented, great freshman year, but as much as he played and had great runs in Texas in the playoffs on a tremendous high school team, still the physicalness of the game, the constant contact, people tugging on you and the blocking you got to do, and everybody talks about hitting that wall. The basketball guys that go from whatever 30, 40 games in college to 80, they hit that rookie wall. The same with these guys. What can we do to make sure these talented young players are at their best when it's championship time in November? And that's a part of the summer, getting them to buy in. For example, KJ Hill understands that now, but it's year 4 or 5. He understands that. Luke Farrell, Rashad Berry, J.K. Dobbins understand that. It'll be interesting if we got some great visuals, but it's getting those guys to buy into that because their skill set's elite. And if they have great practice habits, and the best way to be a great practice player, number one is mindset, and number two, your body holds up where you can practice pretty good. Because if you're getting in a bad stance, and you're having bad releases, you're not running full speed, it throws the timing of the passing game off. And then the guys are like, hey, if you run them too much, the receivers will complain about their legs. Well, the quarterback needs the timing. So how do you get that balance? And how do your second and third players still? Notice last year, even though we lost a lot, we played so many receivers. Ben Vic's playing, Austin Mack's playing, KJ's playing, CJ Saunders playing. We're rotating guys in there. Why? That keeps Paris and Terry and Johnny really fresh down the stretch too. So it's going to be the same deal. Why do we play more than one backs than Jake? It keeps him fresh down the stretch. So for those individuals to be good, it comes back to the group.
Kevin, you mentioned JK. How confident are you that he will be back to his 2017 form as opposed to the struggles he had last year?
Yeah, I don't know if he struggled as much. It's just, we can do a better job of just, calling it up and putting him in good places and getting the run, getting, blocking a little bit better. So, to me, running's a